Hello, my friends. Thank you for joining me with week 2 on my Walk With Me adventure. I'm really happy to have your support, and I'm very grateful for it as well. So the venture really has begun. Last Tuesday, I had major surgery where I had a port implanted in my chest. So let me see if I can get it where you can sort of see what this thing looks like. So they implanted this thing. It's a circular port that when I go for chemotherapy, they'll actually plug into this, and there's more to it up here. So I'm not exactly sure what's underneath my skin, but I believe that it goes up into my jugular vein so that the chemotherapy medications are not actually touching any sort of a smaller vein or artery, because they're very caustic. And if they went into my arm and did this on a weekly basis or bi-weekly basis, it could damage the veins and arteries. And so that's why they use a port to administer the medications. So it was general anesthesia. It took about an hour and a half to 2 hours, but I was able to go home that day with no issues or side effects or problems. So here I am ready, and day after tomorrow, I will have my first chemotherapy treatment. So you notice that I look different. So in preparation for chemo, I've had my hair cut off. It's quite short in the back. It's a little bit longer in the front, so it doesn't look that much different from how it did before. But I want to minimize the effects of any hair shedding that takes place during this process, because, you know, if you shed a 2.5-foot long hair, it looks a lot worse than if you shed a 6-inch hair. So that's part of my thing on that. Also, during the 6 months of chemotherapy, I won't be able to do root connection and color up my roots as they begin to grow out. So I had her highlight my hair with silver so that it's not going to show up quite as much as my hair begins to grow out. So that's my thought process behind that. And so now you're going to say, well, wait a minute, why did you go to that trouble, Jean? Here's the reason. There is a solution that's available for women who are going through, and men who are going through chemotherapy, to potentially mitigate the hair loss. You know, that's the one thing that the most women that I've talked to have said, that they're so afraid of cancer, breast cancer in particular, because they don't want to lose their hair. They don't want to have to go through that bald thing. And I mean, I could take that or leave it. You know, I'm not attached to my hair. I like my hair a lot, but if I lose my hair, then I will go ahead and shave it all and just rock a bald head for the duration. However, but because there is a solution, I'm going to try that. The solution is called DigniCap, and you can Google that, DigniCap, and we're going to see how this works. So let me show you what is going to happen while I go to chemo. So this is a cooling cap that will be placed on my head on top of my hair. When I go there, I wash my hair before I go, don't put any product on it, and go there with dripping wet hair in a towel. And then when I get there, they're going to wet it all up again to make it really wet. And then they'll put this cooling cap, attach it with Velcro all around my head. And then on top of that, they will put this thermal cap to keep the cold in as much as possible. And what that is going to try to do is to keep the hair follicles from absorbing the chemicals, the chemotherapy drugs, because this chemotherapy for breast cancer is designed to target fast-growing cells. So what are the fast-growing cells in your body? Well, your hair, your nails, and the lining of the stomach. No, not the stomach so much, the gut, the cilia in the small intestine. So that's kind of the reason why people get nauseated from it, is because it's bothering your gastrointestinal tract, and they lose their hair because the chemicals basically damage the hair follicles. So by keeping them very cold during the treatment, it helps to lessen the amount of damage. There probably will be some shedding. However, goal is to keep 60–70% of my hair, and not have to go through the complete baldness thing. Now I'll probably still lose body hair, eyebrows, eyelashes, but the head hair is what we're aiming to keep. And they have about a 60–70% success rate with that. And that said, this is not covered by insurance, by most insurance, so it's out of pocket. It also adds to the amount of time that I will be in the chair receiving chemotherapy. So all of this has to go in my head an hour before they start the IV. And then it has to stay on my head for 90 minutes afterwards. So each of these next four infusions that I'll be doing every other week will last a full day. It's going to be like a job. It'll be my day job on the days that I'll be receiving chemotherapy. And I'm going to do a video every week so that I can share with you, A, how I'm feeling, and B, you can see the progress with where I am as far as the DigniCap is concerned. I'm not sure that it's available in every country around the world, and I know a lot of you are international, but you can Google and look and see, and you can also maybe even request. So the hospital where I'm going to be doing my chemo is Tallahassee Memorial Hospital. They have one DigniCap machine. So my chemo has to be scheduled on the days when there's not somebody else using that machine. So that's basically, it'll be mine for that day. And then we're just gonna kind of play it by ear to see what happens. So the first two, the therapy that I'll be receiving is something with the acronym of ACT. The A stands for an A drug, the C stands for a C drug, and I told y'all last time, I don't even know what those are, but they each have their own sets of side effects, not the least of which is potentially killing off blood cells, white blood cells, which is your immune system. So one of the things that my doctor has prescribed is something called Nulasta Onpro. You might have seen ads for it on your TV. It's a little white box. It's a computer, sticks to the back of your arm, and it has a needle in it and a computer. And so they put it on when you leave chemotherapy, and they start it, and then it times 27 hours. So 27 hours after they stick that thing to my arm and turn it on with the medicine in it, a needle will come into my arm, and it will start injecting the Nulasta into my system for 45 minutes. And then at the end of the 45 minutes, you peel that thing off and you put it in a sharps container and throw it away. So what that's supposed to do is to kind of mitigate the side effects from the chemo drugs. So the side effect in particular, again, what Nulasta does is it stimulates your bone marrow to make more white blood cells. And so that would be a good thing to keep you from like going into neutropenia, which is not having enough white blood cells. Now, the first thing that they will do when I go on Tuesday is they will draw blood out of the port and send it to the lab and check my blood levels to see my red count, my white count, and my platelets. And they'll monitor that each week before I receive the chemo. And if they're too low, then they'll postpone the chemo. So we don't want that to happen because I don't want to drag this thing out any longer than 6 months. I'm ready to dive into this thing, deal with it, and then complete it successfully with minimal side effects. And that's my statement, that's my intention, and I'm holding that, and I would request that y'all hold that sight for me as well. Thank you very much. So there's a side effect to the Nulasta Onpro, in that it can cause bone and muscle aches and pains. And guess what the solution to that is? Claritin. Who knew? And it's the regular Claritin, not Claritin D. And I took I bought the regular Claritin last year when my allergies were acting up, thinking it would help my allergies. And guess what? Claritin without the Claritin D is pretty much useless as far as allergies is concerned. It didn't do a thing, but I got a box of it. So I'm all set for that. And so I'll be taking my Claritin along with the Nulasta on the week that I have the treatment. And then I won't need it, in between. So that's sort of where we are with this thing. And I'm looking forward to videoing and meeting with you next week, because by that time I will be through the treatment, and I'll be like a week into whatever the results of the treatment are for that. So it's a very exciting time. I am not afraid. Like I told you last week, I'm a woman of faith, and God's got this, and I'm being supported fully and completely by God. I want to share a couple of scriptures with you that are the things that I'm kind of hanging on to right now. These were actually sent to me by my daughter. And the first one is Psalm 91, verse 4. He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness will be your shield and rampart. And the second one is from 2 Chronicles 20:17. You will not have to fight this battle. Take your position and stand firm and see the deliverance the Lord will give you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Go out to face tomorrow, and the Lord will be with you. And finally is from Lamentations 3:22 and 23. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They're new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. I love y'all. And I'll talk to you next week. Bye.